Hello, my name is Alexander Morari, and I'm the founder of ITKeyMedia. And you've tuned to our podcast about Central and Eastern European startups that are in pre-Series A stage. And our guest today is Toms Niparts, the co-founder of Jeff App. Jeff App is a loan broker that utilizes alternative data to boost financial inclusion. Sveiki, Toms.
Hi, happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Time will show how happy you are, but now look, so you say to boost financial inclusion, and of all the places you do not focus on Europe or European Union, you go to more distant markets. What markets you focus on right now and why?
Yes, so our main focus as of this day is Vietnam, but we have recently launched Philippines as well. And yeah, that gives a pretty good indication that we are all about Southeast Asia and boosting financial inclusion in that part of the world. And if you ask me why, there are two main reasons. Number one, we came across the problem while in our previous jobs with the co-founder. And number two, it's clear that Asia is one of the big emerging economies and then parts of the world. And, comparing to Europe, the size of population and many other aspects are very, very promising and present a lot of opportunity, not to say more.
You mean demographics and quantum leaps in using technology and jumping over certain stages in evolution and right away jumping into mobile banking, mobile financial products, rather than using desktops that we had to go through, right? And so we know where you are focused right now. We know why, and then make an intro like what you are building and what's the product about. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you ask me for a tagline, we go under Credit Karma of Southeast Asia. But what we aspire to build is a credit score for the vast unbanked and underbanked population in those markets, because the facts are that Vietnam, Philippines, and Indonesia are among the top 10 countries in the world with the highest number of unbanked and underbanked people. It just means that like in Poland or any other country in the more developed part of the world, if a person would go to a bank or financial service provider, that bank or financial service provider would look at the bank account, at the transaction history, at the credit history, and of course some other sources, but predominantly make an educated decision based on those data points. If we talk about countries like Vietnam or Indonesia, then as mentioned, absolute majority of people don't have that, and yeah, it's very challenging for them to get access to mainstream financial services. And what we're building with Jeff is tapping into the data that these people actually have, and then extracting value, and then building tools and then ways on top of this data, so that we can help the two sides, the financial service providers and the users. Basically, it's both consumers and eventually also merchants, to find a way how to work together.
So I understand this is a marketplace.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're correct.
What are the sides of the marketplace? Me, the underbanked individual in Vietnam. Okay. Then you are in between, and you are linking me to who?
Yeah. So this again depends very much on the consumer's necessity. So let's take a simple case. I'm a person in Vietnam. I need a consumer loan, let's say for house refurbishment or for some unexpected expense or purchase-oriented financing.
Yeah.
What I do in one possible scenario, we'll go online and look for the options. So what we're aiming to be with Jeff is to be one of those top options that shows up, asks people a certain list of questions, and also taps into certain other data points. And then based on what we obtain from the applicant, we provide a list of products that would be applicable. And yes, as already mentioned in the beginning, we do not stop at, sign up form data. We try to tap into a large and increasing number of alternative aspects, such as behavior, such as smartphone metadata, such as social presence, and many more, to gradually build more and more predictive models and tools that would allow these people to get access to products that they wouldn't be able to access yesterday.
So by collecting data about the individual in Vietnam, let's say, you are then able to basically pitch loan providers on this individual, right? Saying we made some work by we did some work for you in the background using AI driven, like collecting, scraping, understand all the like data points around these personalities, mobile, basically mobile gateway. I mean, mobile phone gateway to the life habits and customs and situations of this individual. And let's say I'm this individual, right? And then all of a sudden I have access to products that otherwise I wouldn't have. Why? What's the problem? Just because I don't have the time, I don't have the time to go through all the banks and so on and so on. All those banks are not interested in me, and all of a sudden you discover me as a potential product for the, client, sorry, for the banks. Where's the revelation, the serendipity? What happens?
Yes. So
what is the miracle?
There are several aspects behind it. Yeah, number one, let's start with the most obvious one, what you already pointed out. If a person is looking for financial service, there is a certain degree of frustration that, I sign up with the first, the second, the fifth, and, at that certain point, there's, there is a drop off because you basically take a repetitive action, and it is frustrating. And what we have discovered and seen in those markets is that they are far less developed than, again, what you would see in some other economies in terms of this data transmission automation. That very few of these players have developed APIs that would allow people to, let's say, fill in a unified form, and then this data would automatically be passed over to all the network. So this is one problem we're solving. But the other part is that you need to look at the bigger picture, how those markets have developed in terms of financial services. To the best of our research, we have observed 3 stages. Number one, it's been that different kinds of banks and financial service providers have been working with large companies that would, let's say, have a big amount of blue collar workers like factories, etc. And then, you don't have the bank transaction history, or you don't have the credit history. It doesn't matter so much because, you can get access to the income. You can withhold the repayments directly from the employer. So it's kind of a functioning model, but it's very difficult to scale. Right, because there is a certain segment of these blue collar workers, but much larger segment is all the other population that is without these bank data. Then number 2, it's we would say the most active channel right now. It's direct to consumer offline. When you would go into a department store or wherever, and there are agents coming to you, approaching and trying to get you as a customer signed up in that way. And this is the stage where this shift to direct consumer online happens in financial services sector in Southeast Asian markets. And there's a lot of market education to be done. For one, what we've seen is many incumbents don't understand how you can capture value from smartphone metadata or behavioral patterns or some network effects that you can observe. And this is kind of nice challenge, I would say, but not an easy one to really do this profiling and understand which of your B2B partners, already advanced in terms of understanding. And they can say to you, yeah, guys, we understand this, give us these 30 or 50 data variables, and that will help us to improve the conversion. And then, there are guys that say, you can take smartphone metadata into account of your scoring. I mean, how does that work? Where we're skeptical about that. So it's we see ourselves being kind of in a position of market maker, Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight, but it's a very, very, very big and lucrative opportunity to take on.
Couple of comments there. So you might say that you are, sometimes startups say we are the Uber of X, we are the Uber of Y, and so on. So you could say you are the TikTok of loan brokerage in South Asia. Because what TikTok does, they're also collecting live like 40 data points or so, right? You know these, of course, and then that would be interesting. Like we are the TikTok of financial product brokerage.
Well, that's an interesting comparison. Actually, one of the cheesy taglines of our early days that we went to buy was Tinder for loans. That you can sign up, you see the loans, and then you can this I don't want, this I want, and something like that. But yeah, this
upgrade to TikTok. And again, it's more of an Asian product, kind of. Yeah, interesting. And this tagline for Credit Karma, I think, like hits the nail there. Wow, that's a good copywriting there. So yeah, it's not that often that you can come up with such copywriting right on spot on. Look, so we say Vietnam, Indonesia, it's like decent markets from where we sit right now. But anyways, it's 101 market and 200 or even like combined more than 300 million users as such.
Yes, so those are very big economies, and when we started this whole first step process on Jeff with my co-founder, we sat down and we understood this is clearly an opportunity for emerging markets, and we came across it due to our past experience exactly with Asia. Of course, we challenged ourselves a lot, which should be the part of the world and which should be the market where we go first. And we kind of understood that there are three big parts in the world in our eyes where this can work big and can solve a real big problem. Apart from Southeast Asia, it's also Africa and it's Latin America. So we understood that, at that point of time, we don't know much about Africa. And we had some insights and some experience with Latin America, but there were reasons why, we understood it's not gonna maybe be so straightforward for us in several aspects. But yeah, this essentially kind of paints you the picture. Our ambition is to grow Jeff into this kind of solution that taps into alternative data and builds financially inclusive products from it in all these emerging markets where unbanked and underbanked populations are massive, and where alternative payment methods are superior when comparing to bank transfers, bank accounts, and methods that incumbents have been used to in general.
Thomas, what are the key challenges of going into the markets that are several hours away as far as time zones? And other than that, what are other key issues? Regulations, like what else can you mention for other companies maybe planning or targeting Asian markets rather than US, which is like normally considered as the El Dorado for startups, and you just open up like a whole new perspective there. So what are the key issues of expanding or opening into a South Asian market?
Yes, I mean, for us, it wasn't like, Asia just because we want Asia. It's, recently I read this very good quote because, back in the day when I was younger, I was also, having this urge in my head that, hey, I want to become an entrepreneur. I should start my business. There are those new year resolution lists you would write down as a teenager. So this year I must start my company. Otherwise, I won't be able to become an entrepreneur or something like that. But then, if you think like that, it obviously shows you're not ready. And, you kind of, this quote that I read, you're ready to start a business when you encounter and face a problem. And this problem is so, how to put it, it doesn't let you sleep, and it's like bothering for you so much, and you have those ideas around potential solutions for it. And you know, this was the case for us because, you know, we, again, as I mentioned a couple of times already, we had the opportunity to interact with Asian markets and then with the industry, of course, and this is how we came to it. But answering to your question about expanding to these markets and entering them, so you know, that's number one, you know, understanding why exactly they are, and this, you know, comes most times through experience. Number two, our mentality towards this is, you know, like with many things, understanding what we know and what we don't know. So what we knew is, again, that, you know, this problem exists, it's validated, it's big, and these are the right markets and to the best of our understanding. Number two, what functions people-wise we can do remotely, which are, you know, not, let's say, time zone or geography sensitive, and quite the opposite, which you know, cannot be, let's say, done from Latvia or United States or United Kingdom or whatnot. So, and yeah, we quickly understood that the culture, and especially the business to business development aspect, is something that we will right away focus on in those target markets where we go. And then this is exactly, you know, the setup for us. You know, we know that here in Eastern Europe, we have amazing talent, especially in fintech, for data science, software engineering, digital marketing, and several other areas. But when it comes to business development, when it comes to, you know, like consumer understanding and several other aspects, you know, there is no cutting corners. You need local people with expertise and experience in those particular places. And then this is exactly what we do at Jeff. We just rationally think of these things, look at these things and challenge ourselves, you know, what just has to be located where, and where you have some wiggle room.
So in a nutshell, key issues of expanding to Southeast and Eastern Asia.
Yeah, I mean, again, number one, it's this cultural understanding. You know, you just need someone who really understands it and then has the experience. Number two, it's like in many things, people, you know, and again, this in our case was combination of previous experience and networks we built, but especially the local people we hired and are hiring. And yeah, I mean, those, you know, you cannot go into those markets with assumption that, hey, this will happen or that will happen quite similarly to what had happened in my country or part of the world where I've spent most of my life, because, you know, it's you know, it's different, and not only as a region but every country in particular. To give you an example, in some of those markets, you can pretty much set up and start operating in a matter of days, whereas in example of Indonesia, we've spent months of, you know, reaching out to people, different kinds of associations, building a relationship with the regulator, and getting the license, and then putting everything that has to be in place before we take on our first client. So it's you know, the challenge is, I wouldn't say specific to any given Asian market, but any market you want to enter in general, is to do your homework and do it well. So,
okay.
And you know,
okay. Thomas, on the business side and on kind of P&L, how successful you are, you would say, on the operational effectiveness? Are you burning money? Are you earning right now? So I know you've had, I mean, you both have what, 4.5 million products compared on the marketplace there, right? With over 600,000 users in Vietnam alone. And as far as financial effectiveness, like, and what's the P&L basically?
Yeah.
What's the ARR? How do you count these, and what are the terms for either side of the equation on the marketplace?
Yeah, understood. So number one, it's, you know, it's a constantly changing and growing figure. So now I don't have the figures top of my head like right away, but we're approaching 1 million people that have used Jeff, and we're over 8 million products compared as of now already. So it's moving fast. And in terms of our efficiency, we are scrappy and let's say with a clear mentality on many aspects. So we spent pretty much all of our first year, which was a fun year. We started January 2020, and then COVID comes. So it's already a crazy ride, but you need to make a lot of adjustments. So we pretty much spent that first year doing two things: forming our core team and figuring out our unit economics. So when we started in January 2020, the first month was like $600 in revenue, and then the end of year it was closer to 30K USD in revenue per month. And in general, we burned like, I don't know, around between 150 and 2,000 euros throughout the first year. And then this year, again, team that we onboarded, like came together as a unit. People started to understand each other and what we're doing better and better. And between January, when we had a bit over 30K, and August, when we passed 300K USD in revenue, so it was like pretty much 10x growth within 7 months. We also were able to hit net profitability in Q2. We were able to considerably improve our unit metrics, and so it's we've just been brutally scrappy with everything that we do. If I don't know, you look at office chairs, you don't spend $300, you spend $80 per, because this is, like those first 2 years, as you probably well know, were probably the hardest. Ask me two more years, I'm going to tell you a different story maybe, but that's the period where, in our opinion, every penny counts, and you need to show that you're able to work with what you've got. And then that builds a strong business case around you in general, let's say.
I mean, you want to come across as modest, but can I say that this is extraordinary growth, and you could say hyper growth on every dimension, and kudos for that. Toms, what are the commissions that you're taking from either side? Like, if I'm the individual, I'm using a loan and so on, like, how do I pay? Where's the hidden catch and so on?
Yeah, so for consumer, our service is free of charge, and we aim to keep it like that going forward as well. So the main revenue driver for us is referral commissions from those banks and financial service providers, predominantly, other kinds of financial service providers, because we operate in this, unbanked and underbanked segment. And then this is actually very similar to what we've learned from some people about Credit Karma, that they're like this big successful company tapping into this different approach to credit scoring, but and I mean, don't quote me on this. I don't have like material to show you to prove the numbers or anything, but through many discussions we've realized that, hey, their main revenue driver still is affiliate commissions, just like it is in our case.
How much range?
Range, yeah. So in those markets, it would, there are two main things that the service providers pay us for. It might vary between $8 to even $20 per loan that we bring to them, and some pay us earlier in the funnel, which is like qualified application. There the commissions are smaller as well, and it's predominantly fixed fee. But what we expect as we enter into new product segments, it's going to converge into take rate, so that if the issued loan is $1,000 worth in the local currency, our take rate would be somewhere in the range of 3 to 5%. If you look globally, the take rate for brokers like us is in general like 4 to 8%. But these markets, they are more green, more undeveloped, and over time, we expect the competition is going to pick up, and as more incumbents migrate to digital acquisition channels, the competitiveness and the price levels will also grow up. So this is yet another indication we are playing the long-term game on this regard.
Yeah. Okay, so that's clear now. Clear picture. Last question in this round, Toms. What question have I not asked and you would like to answer?
Okay, this is a tricky one. Yeah, I mean, in terms of what you asked about how we're doing P&L wise, one thing we would say about us as a team is we have been able to maintain and are looking to continue that pretty high hiring standards in terms of the team is small. Okay, now we recently raised some extra money, and then we're pushing on hiring. But for most of the time, behind all of this success, it was like around 10 people, and then it's really focusing on finding that top 1, top 2% of people. Of course, the remuneration rate is above the average considerably, but this is the kind of situation that we want to maintain, that every person in his or her respective function can do an amazing job. And to me as a CEO, if I go to my data scientist, or if I go to my digital marketer, or if I go to my email guy, they can, put me back in my seat about any question in like 5 minutes. And yeah, we see that this is going to be an interesting challenge as we look to scale the team from 18 people that we are now to 30 to 50 to 100. And yeah, so this is one thing I would highlight about Jeff, because it's not me or idea, it's the people doing the heavy lifting that has allowed us to grow from 30 to 300K in 7 months this year.
Cool. As a side note, Toms, I think you might say, or we might agree that it's sometimes much better to hire somebody whose skill set is way above the company's needs right now. And if you manage to attract such a person, and this person will contribute to the company's growth to catch up with their skill set, and very soon to be a challenge for them, that would be an ideal setup. So you hire somebody for whom the company will need to grow enough.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, that's a very, very, very good point you're making. I mean, yeah, this is hiring for the future, not for the present needs.
It's like Wayne Gretzky, right? So your new hire has to see where the puck is going rather than stay on the spot and that the puck will grow to it. Okay, interesting. I mean, I'm maybe jumbling there, but anyways.
Another revelation on this note, we actually came down to, there's this, you probably know him, and then most of the listeners also, Naval, the creator of AngelList, and probably one of the smartest people out there in the world at present times. About investing, he has this quote: "If you are unsure, the answer is no." So we've grown to confidence that you can directly extend this to recruitment. If we have a person we're not sure about, we wouldn't go ahead and hire the person.
Provided this is a function of your experience and intensive recruitment experience in the past. If you have no experience in recruitment and then you go by your hunch, that's somebody I like, then you miss the target. I mean, you might miss the target, basically. Tom, great. Let's move on to next. You mentioned competitors. Round 2 is about competitors. And imagine you're in a boxing ring. Who would you like to be in front of you as your biggest sparring partner of all the companies out there? There are, I understand, like lots of potential competitors to come to the region or grow locally. Is there anybody you respect so much you would love to invite them for the final round?
An interesting name to put out in that context is Trusting Social. They're a pretty big player doing pretty incredible things, I'd say. Because, the way we look at the competitive landscape, right? There are, comparison sites and aggregators that are basically an acquisition channel for those, financial service providers. And then there are like third-party tools that, help you with, let's say, device fingerprinting, anti-fraud, smartphone metadata scorecards, like a third-party plugin that you would use as a steroid for your underwriting and credit assessment. So while we are starting as this aggregator, because that's what those incumbents understand, and they're open to talk to a new acquisition channel. Most of those aggregators, they start and end there. But our aspiration that we are gradually moving towards is giving them the client and a list of tools and raw data, so that we can improve the conversion, lower the risk, and make more matches happen, basically. And Trusting Social is one of those few names out there that is, I'm not gonna lie, doing a job towards this. They're pretty big, and yeah, so that's an opponent across ourselves at the boxing ring.
Oh, and I would say a heavyweight one, judging by my quick research there. So they just got a Series B financing of around 20 million US dollars, Singapore based. It's like could say the mecca for for financial startups and ideas and so on. And they're also focusing Vietnam and Australia. So interesting. Okay. So happy fighting there. All the best. Good luck. Let's move on then. Number 3, quick Q&A. What are your own productivity hacks? Not the tools, the way of doing things, okay?
Yeah, my own productivity hacks. I've surprised myself how important calendar can be. So it's like, to me, if I have a thing on calendar, chances are I'm going to do it. Then there isn't actually no clear go-to for me. There are days, when I'm going to be Asana freak, when I'm going to write all my tasks in Asana. There are days when all of my monitor will be in small sticky notes. There are days when, I'm just going to steer away from what I'm supposed to kind of do in my head and do something entirely else. But it is, there are no hacks that I can share that you probably, or the listeners, wouldn't know. It's just that understanding that this self-discipline is key. If you understand you have to do something, then you have to do something, because either you execute or you die. And at the end of the day, you can figure out whatever excuse you want that you didn't do the task or didn't complete something, but you cannot lie to yourself. You understand you had to do this, you didn't do it, so that's on you.
You either execute or get executed.
Yeah, that's another way to put it.
By the market competition, investors and all that. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. This is a nice approach. Again, so you either execute or you get executed. And then in the parentheses, investors, market, team members, co-founder. Okay, Toms, let's move on.
Whoever it is that executes. Yeah.
you don't care, yes. Yeah, you don't care. So next, what are unique or exotic software tools, apps that have helped you recently? I mean, exotic, not like all of the, like, you can foresee, Slack, Trello, Asana, and so on. Anything exotic, discovery?
Yeah. One thing I've attributed quite a bit of my time over these last 18 months is investor relations fundraising. We've raised 4 rounds in the less than 2 years. So yeah, there is that. But basically, one thing I discovered, and that's amazing, it's DocSend. So basically what it is a tool where you can upload any kind of material. My most popular one is our pitch deck. And then, you don't send an attachment, you send a link to the recipient. And how it is helpful, it gives you analytics, right? It lets you send like a 15-slide deck. And then you have a call coming up in 3 days with a VC. A bit before the call, you log in the system and you see that, okay, this guy like dropped off after 12 seconds. So you need to start from the scratch, or this guy spent 7 minutes and 3 minutes of those went into the market landscape. So you kind of be prepared that this person is going to ask questions about who else is out there and how are you better.
Yeah, of course. Interesting. So some insight into the brain of the reader. And if they say, we've analyzed seriously, and you see they just spend 12 seconds on the pitch, it means they're BSing you and so on, so on. Interesting. Couldn't this be equal to using Bitly or, Bitlinks, where you could, you know what I mean? And then you
I'm not sure exactly what is the functional comparison, but I have to admit I've never used the tool that you mentioned.
Anyways, guys, DocSend gives you all the background kind of analytics, and you know who, I understand, right? Who opened when, how long they were in the document, if they shared to somebody, and some other details. Okay, great. Nice. Thank you very much, Toms. Let's move on. Round 4, company itself. So founded 2019, you have all the achievements by now. Net positive, I understand as well, and you 10x'd your revenue during 2021, which is not over yet. And now, as far as founders, there's Tom's Niparts, yourself, CEO and co-founder. You have Rainis Tennis, CFO and co-founder. And then rest of the team, Tom's Zalmani, Sandris, Alternievs, right? Artemiev, sorry, Guang Huang Tuan, that's a BizDev person down on the spot in Vietnam, I understand. Kaspar, Toms, Feldmanis, Mintri, Huin, marketing and product, again on the spot. And now, how many people you are right now? 14 FTEs?
We are 18 in total right now.
Come on, yesterday it was 14. It's not fair. Updated some on the go. So 18. Are you recruiting right now? And if yes, what roles are key for you?
Wow, we are recruiting a lot. We have 3 new people coming in the next month. We are actively hiring data scientists. We're actively hiring some key roles such as head of sales, quite a few openings in marketing, including for Facebook and SEO managers, then country managers in Indonesia and in Philippines as well. So we expect that within the next 6 to 9 months, we will double the team size because we will open Indonesia and we will expand both there and in Philippines. And we will also enter new product verticals in Vietnam first and foremost, but then the other markets as well. And it requires manpower or women power.
Okay, cool. Person power.
Person power. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But again, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's I see my job being finding those outstanding people, making sure that they can do their job at an amazing level, that they can do job together with one another and have fun while at it. And if I can accomplish that as a founder, then I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah. As I said recently to somebody, I don't remember, that having fun at work is the dessert to hard work and intensive contribution to the success of the whole company. You need to have that, right?
Of course.
Okay. So as far as sales director, for instance, this will be global role based in Riga, or you don't care?
Yeah, we are not restricting ourselves to location, but one of 2 options are more obvious. Either this person is out of Southeast Asia, or this person is Riga based, but in either case, there will be back and forth. We're of course very much looking forward to when things gradually get back to normal and travel is enabled again without too many limitations, because a lot of things that you couldn't do before now happen over Zoom and whatnot. But still, to get those big partnerships and big deals, you need to have people who can open those doors, go and have those dinners and have those conversations. And this is something that is going to be pivotal for us in the next couple of years at least.
Yeah. As they say, none of my business, but somebody on the spot and right there in Vietnam, specifically as a sales director, would be huge difference, I think, for many reasons. So you could give them a task, your aim hours, and then the next day you have already results because they work the whole night because of the time difference and so on. But anyways, seriously speaking, of course, I think you should have somebody on the spot. And again, none of my business. Sorry. Thomas, let's move on. Round 5, Formula F3, or as we call this, funding for the future. Before we discuss future, what is the funding history of the company in a nutshell by now? So altogether, I understand it's what, around $3 million with the seed, and I see it like extension of the seed. And in the VC lineup, you have what, J12 Ventures, iSeed Ventures, Toy Ventures, and then also people going, I mean, coming with you all the way up from previous stages, Est-Ban, Startup Wise Guys, of course, and some angels there as well, right? Like Tavi, Tamkvi, Salv, and some other people, I guess. Now, and the most recent round was September 2021. Okay. So in a nutshell, how do you plan to spend these financial resources?
Yeah, so the money we raised is going into expansion. Predominantly that goes towards people, both in terms of direct functions, such as, as mentioned, sales, country managers, marketing, also maybe indirect functions like data science and software engineering. And second is, expanding our volumes and then going into those new markets. So it's already, the stage where we have put ourselves a considerable challenge, being at the position close to, if we take like last month basis, knocking on door of $4 million ARR. So and then as there is a very good quote, if your company doesn't grow 100% every year, you're never going to be a unicorn. Yeah, okay. So this is we want to do a lot of things, on the foundation processes and infrastructure and whatnot, but growth has always been, but it's increasingly important for us.
So how long you think this will keep you going, and when, if of course you have these plans, when do you plan the next round?
Yeah. So
as far as the metrics, and like being defined as a company ready for a round, definitely you are there, right? And you'll reach this status very, very soon. But when and what would be your next quantum leap that you plan for the company in terms of financing, but also reaching new milestones?
Yeah, so to give you a bit of history, we raised like a small seed round earlier this year, $1 million, predominantly from existing investors at that point. And we weren't in a position to raise more money or aiming to put more precisely more money. But here there's another tool that I'm, going to sneak in here, which worked wonders in a sense for us. So as we evolve, there's increasing list of these, VCs and investors that want to be in the loop, etc. So this tool that I tested many things, you understood that something like MailChimp is not going to really fly, but then again, some Chrome plugins that show you who opened or who clicked on your email links, it's also not quite enough. So found this amazing tool, Mixmax. So what this Mixmax allows, it's building like these newsletters and sequences, and it gives you pretty decent analytics. So when basically what I started to do thanks to that was, looking at recipients that haven't been really interacting or active with what we send, and I manually filter them out every couple months and put them in a goodbye list. So I basically sent the same monthly or quarterly update that I would do large pack, but I would say, farewell message from Jeff, let's say Q2 update. And then, I would change the wording a bit, say, hey, so we haven't been talking much lately. This is one last update and kind of a goodbye. If you don't want to say goodbye, let me know. And in this way, we ended up raising money from J12 Ventures out of Stockholm. Because we had conversations, great guys and everything, but there wasn't any back and forth for some months. And then they came back and said, hey, we want to talk business with you guys. We want to stay in the loop. And a few months later, we came down to the seed round extension.
And that's an outcome, like it's riding on the Mixmax kind of waves of contacting the key people there. I remember I tried them out 2 or 3 years ago, basically, but then somehow forgot. So let's just add that Mixmax is a tool which is integrated with Gmail, right? and with like,
yeah,
for sure with Gmail.
It integrates with Gmail seamlessly, but
Yeah.
I think it offers a large number of mail client integrations. I'm not
Okay.
sure. I use Gmail myself. Yeah.
Cool. Now, speaking of your financial plans for the next round, again, when and what milestones you plan to hit before you go into the market for Series A?
Yes. So we do regular reforecasting because, in those markets and in these COVID times, things change rapidly. And then, of course, what we are able to do and accomplish as well. So our stretch goal is to approach or even hit 1 million monthly revenue by end of second quarter of next year. And, depending on how things evolve and everything, one of the next markets in our pipeline is India, which is, a big challenge, a big opportunity. And obviously, to take on that kind of massive market, 1.5 million seed round is not even merely enough. So I wouldn't say we have any fixated pipeline in terms of timeline in terms of fundraising in place. But again, as is mentioned, we are still staying quite scrappy. We're spending more money and then being more aggressive, but still, how you technically say it, you should forecast for like 18 months at least for runway, and if things go south, so that you can tighten some screws and squeeze out another half year. Well, in our case, we can happily say that right now we are in a position when it's largely dependent on our own actions and decisions. So we have a pretty good grasp there. So answering your question, our goal right now is to really focus on those product changes and growth items we have on our table to see how close to this 1 million monthly revenue target within 9 months from now we can get. And assuming we accomplish that feat, I think Series A is going to come sometime middle, maybe Q3 of next year, because this is, we are among the first movers in what we're doing, and every month you can speed up, it can make a big difference. So we don't want to wait for anything or anyone.
Here's the forecast. Series A investors will come to you sooner than you open up to the market yourself, probably. Okay. And also, what a amazing plan to first polish the product, the offering the tech, the whole tech stack, like front end, back end, all the database and so on in Indonesia and Vietnam, combined 400 million users, and then move to India, where English should be, I understand, right, the interface language, which is. Will it? Or you would go local?
To answer your question, I don't have an answer for that, because again, this is why we clearly went and are going after Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines. Those are markets where we have experience, where we have a certain degree of know-how and network. We have, we understood that, maybe from get-go, India would present an even more lucrative opportunity. But then again, when we started this, it was me and Rainis investing all of our savings up until that point. And then again, every dollar counts even way more at that stage. So, you want to have full confidence that, you spend every dime of that in the most rational way you see. And going into Indian market where we have very limited know-how, it's very tricky. But then considering what stage of Series A, far bigger financial resources and other kind of baggage about what we do, you can afford to hire senior executives that can explain you a lot of things and show how your go-to-market strategy and entry strategy should differ from any of the first markets.
Again, I will repeat, if you go to India based on English interface, then what a great bridge to other English-speaking countries or English-fluent countries, should I say, right? In Africa, like South Africa and all the other ones. And then you go into a Spanish market and all of a sudden you open up Spanish, Portuguese, Latin American. Yeah, great. And plus, I think you might also position yourself as like a target for impact investing. Like more and more VCs are looking into impact investing, and like ESG minded startups are getting more and more momentum. ESG meaning environment, social governance, right? And this is where this all like inclusiveness as a key rationale for the business, right? This financial inclusion and so on might be a good justification for impact investors as well to have a look at the company. Great. Thomas, I think we covered lots of stuff and, a lot and beyond. Usual question I will have to ask you as well. Do you have an exit plan scenario for yourself? If yes, which one?
Yeah, it's a tricky question, The way I see it, you cannot focus only on exit, but always have, clear scenarios in mind. In our case, we see one of the three viable scenarios as potential. Number one, it is, some of the existing large incumbents coming and saying, guys, we want to acquire you. Other one, it's some large international corporation entering respective markets, doing target acquisition of Jeff to facilitate this bridge of entry. And number three, everyone knows Southeast Asia is famous for their massive super apps like Grab, Gojek, and several others. So those companies are trying to do more and more of everything. But then again, you need to be conscious about the fact that those are not early stage startups, or probably not even startups anymore. So despite all the great work they have been and are doing, it means that to add new services that deviates from their core value propositions, it's not an easy thing. You have procedures, you have processes and whatnot. So it makes kind of more and more sense for them to acquire someone that is able to do a good job and move fast in a certain area. So this is the third potential scenario we have looked at.
Yes, big diversity of scenarios. Let's see what life's in the end leads you to. And Thomas, thanks for the chat. Interesting topics there, and interesting revelations as well during the conversation. I'm sure people will find some value there. Wish all the best, and go fight for financial inclusion, create value for those Southeast Asian clients, and come here and disrupt European markets as well, if your plans will include this as well. Thomas, thanks a lot. Great conversation. We hope to be in touch with you later on.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for having me. Have a good evening.